Evening, everyone. My name's Thane Kirby, and welcome to Talkback. This is a platform where basically you can engage with us via our comments. In the comments section, you write something in the comments section, and then we'll address it on our show tonight. This is a show about politics, and every Wednesday we love to welcome our old mate, Bomber Bradbury, Martyn Bradbury, when he's in a meeting. Hello, how are you, Martyn? Good?
Hi, mate. How you doing?
Very good. So just quickly, if you're joining us for the very first time, Martyn, you've been in politics a long time, you have?
A very, very long time, Thane. I've been a political hitman for the left, mostly. If truth be told.
Mostly, all for the left, pretty much.
Setting up various political parties, internal coups.
What do you like about the left? I mean, what are they? I mean, apart from them paying you, what's the attraction?
I think when you're brought up, when you're born into a working class family, I think just politics happens to you.
Yeah,
you know, you live politics. You see the injustice and the being the underdog all the time, and you're like, why do we keep getting shit on? So I think, and also because my dad was very into the communism. And so I would read a lot of the books on the family bookcase. I was reading Lenin when I was 10. So that probably has a bit of an impact.
How do you think communism's going these days?
Oh, not too well. But I think it's ready for a comeback.
Yeah. You just need like a Lewis and Co. You know those people that kind of remix milk and stuff and butter. You just need it's just a rebrand, you know?
Right? It's a rebrand. That's Mark's over my shoulder there.
There he is.
Yes.
Close to look. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, Jacinda is traveling to the USA, early morning meeting with President Biden. By all means, it was very huggy-kissy, without hugging and kissing each other. He agreed to nothing, but gave her an extra 30 minutes. Do you know anything else? How did that go?
I think in terms of a hearts and minds campaign, there is no question at all that Jacinda won over hearts and minds of America. They absolutely adore her. I think they see in her a progressive politician that they could gravitate towards. She's young, she's vibrant, she's articulate. Her Harvard speech was a triumph. I think it was a very important trip because we geopolitically at a stage where we need to be much closer to America. I think the frustration for many within the New Zealand system, however, will be, as you pointed out, we got sweet bugger all out of it.
Yes.
In terms of our wallets, we got nothing. And I think that there is a fundamental question here to the United States. If you want us to be an ally to you in the South Pacific to counter Chinese hegemony and them moving into our sphere of influence, well, you're going to have to help us decouple from the Chinese economy and actually sell directly into the American market. The only reason we've become so economically dependent on China is because America won't take the stuff that we make, right?
Right.
So if they are serious about treating us like an ally, if they are serious about countering Chinese influence, then they've got to give us access to their markets. It's absolutely outrageous that Trump's steel and aluminium taxes and tariffs are still on New Zealand. He placed them on Australia and he placed them on Japan, but Australia and Japan have managed to get out of paying their tariffs. At the very least, you would expect tariffs to come off our steel exports.
Yeah, but he's not giving us that, and it's so bloody frustrating. We just can't get one of these, what are they called, free trade deals?
Well, the United States has no interest in entering these large collective deals, but you can have one-on-one trading deals with them. And what Jacinda did gain out of this meeting was a renewal of an annual trade meeting where they sit down and they go through tariffs. So we have a one-on-one annual meeting with them now. But really, if we're going to avoid the kind of economic slump that we're looking at the end of this year, we're going to need to have a lot more on the table immediately from America in terms of giving us access to their primary produce markets and agricultural markets and dairy markets.
Welcome if you just joined us, everyone. Bomber Bradbury is our guest. Stephen McGuinness on the comments says, USA don't want nuclear-free allies. I mean, what do you think if the trade-off was, okay, guys, start throwing some nuclear in the mix and we'll come and talk to you?
I don't think they have that luxury. The move by China is just so geopolitically destabilizing. I don't think that America is in a position to be that choosy about whether or not they want us to have, be part of, they need us to be part of their alliance. They've already lost a couple of Pacific Island nations because the Chinese have just moved in there. I don't think that America can be that choosy. They need us as much as we need them.
Okay, speaking of the Chinese, though, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Mahuta's not getting on a plane like the Australian diplomat did. She seems to be lukewarm on everything. We're not going to be getting a lot of answers from her. There's a couple of other MPs, Nicola Wood, defending her, but she seems fucking useless.
I think Nanaia Mahuta is under an enormous amount of pressure with the Three Waters stuff right now. I think that they have been caught flat-footed. I think New Zealand has been caught flat-footed. We are no longer in a benign environment geopolitically. We have a much larger power who is more than happy to start pushing into our sphere in our parts of the world. What we're going to see from these bases that the Chinese are going to build, the real danger or the flashpoint is the Chinese have traditionally used these bases for their fishing militia, and these huge fleets go out. They push other nations' fishing ships off the fisheries. There's clashes. A coast guard will get involved, and then that's the justification for the Chinese to roll in the military. So we've seen them use these tactics time and time again. We have been caught flat-footed. We have to start thinking about things like increasing our military budget. And I don't think that we've come up with a good plan of how to counter Chinese influence in the Pacific. I think that we can't outspend the Chinese, but we can outplay them. What if, for example, we had an All Blacks touring the Pacific? We've got unique characteristics with our culture. Sports and rugby is something that China couldn't bloody compete with. What if we were really champions of journalism in the Pacific? We have an amazing AUT journalism school in New Zealand. What if we were a real pusher and provider of journalistic talent and values around the Pacific so that you actually had a free media in those Pacific islands able to talk about the influence of the politics and what's going on? I think we've got to play a better game.
Yes, but do you think if we just kind of bred pandas really well and set up some kind of panda world and kind of held them to ransom, they love pandas. They love the pandas. They do anything for pandas.
I don't think we're going to pander to them on the pandas.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, it's too pandering. In terms of your criticism, Nanaia, look, I think it is fair. I think that this is a unique thing that's happened. Where I think we should be going is the government should be turning around to someone like Winston Peters and saying, we would love you to be the new ambassador for the Pacific, Winston.
Lovely. Yes.
Get out there and meet people and shake hands and find out what the bloody hell's going on. I think that's what we should be doing. We should be creating a new role called the ambassador to the Pacific, and Winston should be that ambassador.
Fantastic. Okay. If you just joined us, tuned in, thank you very much. You can leave a comment there. You can go to talkback.nz and make a donation so we can continue to roll over. Hayden Smith says, bit 11th hour, isn't it? New Zealand, especially Australia, haven't given a shit about Pacific Islands in years.
Absolutely, right? And this is us getting some of our comeuppance, right?
Mm.
We have only looked at the Pacific Islands as a source for cheap labor to come over here and pick our fruit and vegetables and nothing else. We've given them very little in return. We take off them. The second the labor market doesn't look good, we force them all back. I mean, the reason we can't get all high and mighty about the 501s and the Australians sending them back here to New Zealand is we do exactly the same thing to all the Pacific Islanders here.
Mm.
You know, you run foul of the law, you're on the next bloody flight home.
Mm.
So we've done so little for our brothers and sisters in the Pacific, and when you consider that Auckland is the largest Pacific city in the world, I think we've got an obligation. I think we should be doing a lot more for our Pacific brothers and sisters. And so turning up just at the same time that China's now flashing its cash, yeah, look, it's a bit shitty. We're a bit shitty, but we aren't as bad as a terrible authoritarian communist regime that thinks human rights are just, you know, something they might support one week and probably won't support the next.
Are we doing better than Australia at least?
Pardon?
Are we doing better than Australia at least?
Oh, we're doing better at everything than Australia. I mean, we're a bit shitty. They are total assholes to the Pacific.
All right, okay. Hey, I was reading something this week saying that the New Zealand government have bought a whole lot. They own a whole lot of hotels because they can't get the building up and constructed, and that's where we're storing a whole lot of our poor people. And then it's just not working. They can't live next to each other. The hotel setting for our poor isn't the right way of doing it. It's causing a lot of trouble. Man, there's a lot of things at ground level, at roots level, we've got to fix first before we're off sending politicians around the world, right, and doing all that kind of stuff. We are effectively a broken country right now. Your thoughts?
You're absolutely right. For such a long time, we have not done the heavy lifting in terms of the investment, just in the roading, in the waters, in the housing. We've been very laissez-faire. We've been, let the free market decide. Very, very little regulation. And that's allowed, you know, monopolies, duopolies, oligopolies. I think the fundamental problem we've had in this country is because we only see taxing working people as the way forward, right? So schmucks like you, schmucks like me, brothers and sisters who are watching the show right now, we all pay tax on our labor, and none of us really want to have more tax on our backs. And I think that where we need to start looking at getting and gaining more taxation for the revenue and the structures that you're talking about and funding all the things is we need to be taxing corporations far more money, right? Not you and me. You and me and all of the people who are watching the show pay enough bloody tax. What we need to start doing is resetting the tax system so that it goes after the speculators, the greedy, and people who are actually damaging the planet, right? With that greed. It's not on you and me anymore. It should be on the corporations. And in terms of that, we should be looking at things like financial transaction taxes, right? Mm-hmm. What that would then do is capture the banks, it would capture the speculators, and it would capture people who are moving money around the world. You'd be able to catch all of them, raise huge amounts of revenue, and then actually fund all of these things properly. Because we don't have a tax system that goes after the corporates, it ends up to you and me having to fund everything. And of course, we're only holding on by our fingernails at the best of times.
Why can't we impose those things? Is this part of BlackRock? Is this part of...
Well, this is the problem, right? Because politics has been reduced to just identity politics now, right? We don't talk about the economic hegemonic structure. We don't talk about how corporations keep getting things. I mean, the banks in the last 3 months have made $1.6 billion in profit. That's profit in 3 months. These pricks keep making this money, and we just don't tax it enough. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we want to make the true progress in this country, we've got to pull away from identity politics. We've got to pull away from the stuff that's, look at what's filling the news headlines at the moment. Santa Maria may be kissing someone. Oh my God, it's a terrible. So all the focus is on that. No one's talking about how the corporations keep making all this bloody money. We don't tax these buggers anything. And this is why our schools are run down, why our hospitals are run down, why the system is so cripplingly underfunded. So I think that in terms of the politics of it, we need to start getting back to go after the bloody rich, right?
But no one's going to do that.
No, and this is the problem, because it's It's too difficult. The powers that are vested are going to push back against you. And it's much easier to run around playing games of, is this racist? Is that not racist? Is this sexist? Is that not sexist? What's the pronouns for this? It's that garbage.
I'm going to address this question, then we're going to move on to that TVNZ guy. Lucky Labour spent shitloads on a tax working group and ignored everything. Fantastic. They have come out and have started using a bigger stick with the supermarkets this week. Done nothing. The price freeze is all bullshit and it's all PR and spin. They're promising everything. And this is a very big, hard unwind for anybody to get involved with. But Aldi and Costco, they look like they could be moving into this market and actually providing an alternative. And I heard the word on the street is a big international could buy a warehouse and start pumping some money into it.
What's going to happen is a couple of these big players will come in and buy one, store somewhere, just like Gull Petrol, right? And there'll be a couple in certain areas, and then that'll be it. And then when we go, are we getting screwed again? And the market, like the petrol companies go, but we've got competition. Look, we've got Gull. We've got 3 of them. That's competition. It's a load of garbage. The government is threatening the supermarket duopoly with a wet bucket, a wet bus ticket and a slap on the wrist. It's a load of garbage. It's not going to reduce the prices in any way, shape, or form the way that it needs to. The government should have had some balls and some backbone and a spine and gone in and done what the Commerce Commission originally suggested, which was seize 30% of the bloody duopoly, seize 30% of the market and start your own bloody supermarket. Here's where I'm hopeful on this. Because things are going to get so bad by December economically in this country, I think the government will be forced to review the situation and seriously look at taking 30% and starting their own supermarket.
I agree with you. I think they're going to leave this little Bunsen burner firing until the election, so then they can swoop on in and say, told you, we mean business and we've done something. And then they're going to go, results, see everyone? You see, we couldn't do it, but we've done it.
That's where they're going to be forced, I think, in December. I think that the prices are going to be so crazy, food inflation-wise, come December. The government's going to have to do something more meaningful.
Isn't it a shame it's just going to be used as a political football and just gaining points? Anyways, this guy from TVNZ, Carmen Sandiego, what's his name?
Yep.
What's the deal with him? So what? He sent some texts. He was always a bit of a rooter back in the old days with his old job. I don't know, but
as far as I can tell, the TVNZ staff were very upset and very unhappy that this decision to bring in Santa Maria was done without their agreement. So they had their noses out of joint to begin with.
Yes.
He has said something on the newsroom floor to a female staff member. We're not sure what the actual thing has been said. There are a couple of versions of what's gone on there, and a couple of them have got nothing to do with being sexually forward or flirty or whatever. So we don't know what was said, but then all of these other comments have come out, and you're looking at them, and one of them was an email where he was saying, "You look really great in this blouse, kiss, kiss," and a claim that he kissed a staff member on the cheek. And you kind of, I thought when they said that he had left for an inappropriate interaction, I thought he was taking dick pics, right? And then you actually look at what he's being accused of, and you're like, well, these feel like misdemeanors at best. And remember, they're just allegations. But in the post-Me Too world, the evidential threshold is whatever someone says on Twitter, and he's been cut. But I think the problem for TVNZ is that they're about to receive all this money with Radio New Zealand, TVNZ merger. It looks like their newsroom is in revolt. and there are question marks. Do you really want to give
There's the leaks.
more money?
Yeah. Hey, yeah, you're right. I mean, this guy seems maybe set up by disgruntled employees because they had no hand on choosing the person. You know, they've got.
We don't know. All that's happened is an allegation has been made.
But how about the PR rollout on day one? He's gone to work on a personal family matter. Yeah, saving his marriage after all.
Maybe. But again, we don't.
We don't know. No one knows.
I just think that we're now in an age where, you must believe, woman. You must believe. You're not allowed to be skeptical in any way, or the presumption of innocence is gone. It's almost like that's just a heteronormative cis male privilege due process. His career is absolutely destroyed. He is over Rover. It doesn't matter how innocuous or misdemeanor-esque it was. He's now being accused of being an absolute perv. And it's interesting to note, isn't it? The last time Stuff came out and said broadcaster made inappropriate comments, it was Martyn Devlin, right? Over that situation. And Martyn Devlin was goaded into a suicide attempt over that story. And what, of course, turned out was the inappropriate comments that they were insinuating about Martyn Devlin. It was Martyn Devlin dressing down a staff member at NZME who was shitting on the brand, saying, I don't like working here. It's absolute crap. Isn't it terrible? And he pulled them aside and said, these people pay your bills. These people are your employers. You shouldn't be crapping on the station that you work for. She construed those as inappropriate comments, and that's what was commented and reported and stuff. And of course, it had incredibly negative impact on Martyn Devlin. So that was the last time they've done this, and now they've done it with Santa Maria as well. Will we ever get to the bottom of what happened? I don't know. But certainly his career and his reputation after an amazing 16 years at Al Jazeera, and he was incredibly well regarded. His body of work was. That's all up in flames now. He's gone. He's gone burgers.
He's going to be the best dressed Uber driver Auckland's ever known after this. Awful. What a fall from grace. Anyways, so there was a poll that came out. It said Labour could put a government together with Māori Party, or what's the new name for the Māori Party? Are they called? Are they still the Māori Party? I can't remember it.
Te Pāti Māori, I think, is what they like to call themselves.
But they can govern alone. I mean, what do you reckon? This is like gone.
Well, I mean, look, this is the reality about the 2023 election. It is going to be far more ideological and polarised than anyone we've ever had before. Act to National's right are pulling National all the way over to the right, and the Greens and the Māori Party on Labour's left are pulling Labour all the way to the left. I think that how it's going to be decided is who New Zealand is frightened of more. Are they more frightened of a National Act government, or are they more frightened of a Labour Green Māori Party government? And that's where I think the debate, that's what will decide the 2023 election. Who scares you most? National Act, Māori Party, Greens and Labour. And of course, with the whole co-governance issues, for some people, that's absolutely terrifying. But if you look at what the right want to do, ACT is talking about destroying 5 ministries plus the Human Rights Commission, plus cutting $8 billion annually out of welfare. So, they both have very different ideas about what the country looks like post 2023. And we're going to have to get our heads around the fact that it's going to be a very revolutionary government, whichever one wins.
What we've learned, though, if you rise the petrol cost, and if you, I know there's a lot of work out there, but if you drive the price up on food and you do all that, then you get ram raids, and then you get burglaries going through the roof, then domestic violence goes on. You take $7 billion out of the welfare system. Our premiums, you know how much our premiums are going to go up by? Holy shit, it's going to be chaos out there.
And I don't think people understand or appreciate how seriously fucked the country is economically and how hard and fast that's going to hit. People are already seeing the valuations of their houses dropping. They're seeing their KiwiSaver dropping. They're feeling that pinch when they put up when they put the petrol in their cars. They're feeling that pinch when they're just buying the most basics. I mean, I went out today and I just got a very, very, very simple shop. Ended up costing me 140, and I'm just like, where did that money go? And it's just on the most basic stuff is so expensive, and it's only going to get worse. We are barely being impacted by what's happening in the Ukraine right now, right? If this drags on, and they are now talking about this war going into next year, if this drags on another 3 months, we are going to see such a spike in food prices. I don't think we've seen anything like it.
$4 warehouse is selling butter, limited for two. $4 a thingy, right? But they put it in a fridge and they hide it so you can't find it. And I think they've only got like 50 bits of butter in there. So first in, first served type thing. But they use it as an advertising loss leader, like there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
We've got the cheap milk. So I heard someone's got half a dozen eggs, milk, and butter for $13.
Right.
If you've got to go to Countdown, that's $22.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, something's going to happen. Anyway. Yeah. Mate, thank you very much. We'll be quickly through your podcast because everyone's interested in politics as we count down to the election. Where can we find it?
7:30 Mondays. It's live on the Daily Blog, Facebook, and YouTube. And then it's loaded up onto Apple Podcasts and Rover. It's the #1 political podcast in New Zealand right now. So check it out. It's always a lot of fun.
Okay, mate. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you again next Wednesday and every other week at Chapel Bar on a Sunday. DJ, thank you very much, matey.
Later, bro.
Good night, mate. See you.